Okay. Hello and welcome. I'm Suzana Mihajlovic, and we are super excited to get started on this call today. We just have quite a few people waiting in our waiting room. Just a second as I let everybody in and we can get started. Okay. Look at all these beautiful faces. Welcome, 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 welcome. Okay, let's get started. So you are here to for the Money Mastermind. I am Suzana Mihajlovic. This is my incredible friend, colleague, co-coach, Chris Murray. Chris and I have worked together for many years with Bob Proctor. And one of the most common questions that we both get asked, we've got so many people coming in, so I've just got my eye on letting people in whilst I welcome you all. So one of the most common questions that Chris and I have had is, what have you learnt about money? What has Bob Proctor taught you about money? So we thought we would put our heads together and create a simple workshop of some of the most prominent themes when it comes to money that Bob Proctor taught us. Now, we can't get through everything. It's a 1 hour session, but we will give you some of the basics, and we promise you, if you do the work that we give you today, okay, you will start to see a little bit of a difference, okay? So I want this to be an active mastermind, an active session where you write, where you share, and you have an opportunity to reflect, okay? So Chris, are you ready?
I'm ready. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Chris. So anyone that has worked with us, you know how powerful this combination is. I can see many of our clients, Chris, here that follow us, that join every single one of our programs, which is fantastic. We love having you on board. And also, welcome to the new people. We have so many new people that have registered. I know not everybody can be here on the live. We've had over 100 registrants just in the past couple of days. So you will receive the recording. Those of you that aren't live and are watching the recording, welcome, welcome. Okay, so those of you that know me, I'm not really a slide person, but we have got some slides for you. Okay, so I'm just about to share. I'll just share our slides. Now, before we get into the presentation, I really want you all to think, why are you here? Why did you register to come and see Chris and I? What was it about this workshop that made you sign up? What was it? And I also want you to think about, what are your thoughts, your current thoughts, your dominant thoughts about money? Please write that down. You see, I've been doing this work for all of my career. I'll share a little bit about myself in a moment. But in the 8 years that I've been in business, so we're coming up to 8 years, I have served well over 2,000 clients, paid clients, and then many more through my communities. And it's incredible what money does to us, the word money. It's incredible that 99% of my clients, so Your2Minds has got clients in every single continent of the world, apart from Antarctica. And so that is massive. And I've worked with the caliber of people that don't have any money and they're starting out. I've also worked with companies, global companies of, 9-figure, 10-figure revenue. And the reason I share that, the most common thing, 99% of people have paradigms around money, even those that you think wouldn't, even those that are earning millions. It is amazing what money brings up. And the reason why is, and it's amazing the issues, the paradigms, the fear that money can bring up. It is one of the most, debilitating things if you allow it to be, if you allow money to control your mind. You see, one of the first things that I want you all to know, and one of the things that I learnt from our incredible mentor and dear friend, Bob Proctor, was you can either control money or money will control you. If you do not start to master your mindset around money, whether you have no money or you are one of those clients that I've had that has had 9, 7, 8, 9-figure, 10-figure revenue in their business, okay, it doesn't matter, because if you're not controlling money, if you're not in control of your mindset around money, it will control you. It will control you. So let's get started. We have a few people in the waiting room. Just a second. Okay, so one of my favorite quotes, Bob Proctor quotes. And it's one of my favorite quotes because I lived this for years and years. So I had a 6-figure income as a senior manager, had a great career before I went into business. However, there was never quite enough. And my goal was to replace my 6-figure income that I earned in a year. I wanted that to become my monthly income. And when I stopped allowing money to control me and my mindset, and when I understood some of the basics around money, the floodgates started to open. So when you understand money, the floodgates will open so quickly that you'll be left in wonder. But, and there's a big but, and most people don't go past the but because they're not willing to invest in themselves. They're not willing to do the work that is required to change themselves first. And that is, the big but is, you must change your money paradigms. So I shared with you, my goal was to replace my $150,000 income, which is pretty reasonable money back then, okay, over 8 years ago, with a monthly income. And I heard Bob say many, many, many times, understand money, change your money paradigms, and it will come quicker than what you've ever imagined it. And I never understood what he meant by that until November 2019. I get chills when I share this. The floodgates did open. And remember that $150,000 a month that I wanted to bring in? Guess what? There were weeks where I brought in way more than that. So I finally realized that the floodgates do open, and when they do, you're left in wonder. You see, even with all of the university degrees that I've got quite a few. I've studied in some prestigious universities around the world, studied psychology, counseling, business, studied in Japan, Hiroshima City University, studied in the UK, one of the most prestigious leadership universities, Ashridge University. Even with all of this education did not teach me about me. It did not teach me about the power within me. It did not teach me what the legend Bob Proctor taught us. And it certainly did not teach me about money and abundance. It taught me how to do a job and advance in my career, and that was wonderful. I'd never give up my education. It's the most, one of the things that I value most. However, the reason I share my story is because I know you're the same. You may have had postgraduate education, you may have had a great career, but you're probably here asking yourself why. Why am I in the position that I'm in now? Or how can I break through and have more? And it's in the understanding of your mind and understanding what money is that you open up, that you let go of the floodgates, and you too will be left in wonder. Okay, so many of you have met us before. Many of you are clients. The Your2Minds community keeps coming back for more, which is wonderful to see. Some of you are new. Some of you have not met us before. So who are we, and what is our authority to be talking to you today about mindset and particularly about money? So first of all, I'm me, Suzana, I'm the founder of the company, international success coaching company, Your2Minds. I am the lead success coach. So what we do is we help you break through to higher levels, to your quantum leap. This is a lifetime work for me. I'm not one of those people that has just studied a 6-month coaching program. It is a lifetime. It's my life work, my life purpose. As a child, I remember helping people break through. That's what I did. And that's why I chose to study psychology, get into leadership in the helping professions. My adulthood dream was to do what I'm doing now and also to work with the legendary Bob Proctor. And Bob and I have had many occasions where we shared the stage together. We became friends. I've got a book that I'm compiling together just for my family so that it stays in the generations to come of all of the emails that I've received from my incredible mentor. Currently, we also work with Bob's son, Brian, on one of our programs. And whilst I was working with Bob, I met one of the most incredible colleagues, the most incredible people as a professional, as a person all round. And Brian Proctor and I invited him on our team in January, and that is Chris Murray. What I absolutely love about Chris is not only his wealth of experience, he actually worked with Bob for around 12 years as not just a staff member, but he's one of his top people. He was one of his top people in the marketing branch as well as the sales branch. And you could see the photo on the right-hand side with Chris brainstorming and masterminding with Bob Proctor in Bob's private jet. Now, any of you that met Bob does not spend that intimate time with anybody. If he sees that you have potential, if he saw that you had potential, if he saw that you were getting great results, he would give you that time. So just those two photos on the screen, ahead of us shows that you are, working with the real deal. One of the things that I love about Chris is he has such an incredible business mindset. He understands systems, he understands marketing, he understands how to grow your business, sales, technology, and the back end of things. He was one of the trainers for the PGI coaches. So again, you are not getting people that have just done a 6-month coaching program and they're here to tell you how to make money. Okay, this is combined lifetime work. He had a decade working in the technology industry. He worked for high positions for companies like IBM, and he helped the legend Bob Proctor build his business at PGI and get it to where it was before he passed away. So you've got the best of two people in the world at what they do. You've got the system, the business side of things, as well as the mindset and success. Okay, enough about us. Let's talk about you. So today we're going to share a couple or a few of the basic ideas that changed our life around, that changed our paradigms, and that have created the success that we have had with money. And these lessons have been learned from the incredible Bob Proctor. We're going to give you a little bit more of an understanding of your money mindset already. You have written down what your current money mindset is, and that is your dominant thoughts around money. We're going to help you create some clarity and order in your mind. We're going to talk about the secret of wealthy people, multiple sources of income, and we're going to talk about a money mastermind, and a mastermind that we have developed that we're going to start to get going very soon. Okay, so let's start with clarity in your mind. The billion-dollar question: how much is enough? How much is enough money for you? You see, most people, there is only a small percentage of people that strives to be billionaires. Okay? Small percentage. Most people want to have a comfortable life and some, reserves. So most people, even 500,000 would be enough. There are other people where 50 million would be enough. So how do we find clarity? How do we find clarity in our mind? How do we know how much is enough? So some of you that were on our community call last Thursday, and thank you so much for that call and for that feedback. We have been, implementing your ideas. I asked you to do a bit of an exercise. Let me know in the chat box if you've done the exercise. Just give me a yes. Yes or no. That's fine. Nobody's done the exercise. Oh, well, lucky you've got a chance to do it again now. Okay, so some of the answers are coming in on the chat box, I can see. Just a moment. Yes, Simone has said yes. Great. Who else? Anyone else? Alison, I can see your hand up. Fantastic. Gary, how about you? Almost. Okay. All right. You see, we're going to give you partial. Okay, great. Don't worry about it, Leslie. I'll go through the exercise in a moment. Pamela said yes. That's fantastic. Partly. That's great. I am a new person. I know. Hello, Greg. Great to see you here. Greg is just an incredible man. So that's okay. If you are new, I will go through the exercise now. Okay. But congratulations to all of you that have done it and all of you that have started. Okay. So we can talk to you. We can share all of the information. But you know what? The bottom line is this information will mean nothing if you don't do the work. Okay. Now, one of the things that has absolutely changed my life, and every time I think of this, back in 2017, when I left the security of my full-time job in senior management, and I started off in business on my own, had no idea about business. I was so scared, and I was tempted to go back to work. Boy, oh boy. What a different life that would have been if I went back to work. And I was watching Bob. I did not know Bob Proctor then. He didn't know I existed, but I was an avid fan, and I was watching the paradigm shift in February 2017. And he said two things. He said, winners make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Losers make decisions slowly and change them quickly. Winners make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Losers make decisions slowly and change them quickly. And I'll never forget that moment, because there was a rush of energy moved through my whole body, and it wasn't a comfortable energy. You see, I had just jumped. I had jumped to do my dream. I left a $150,000 job with $500,000 mortgage to move towards my dream. And every single cell of my body was saying, go back to work. Go back to work. This is too hard. You're not going to succeed. You'll never have your $150,000 a month. Just go and take the easy way out. And when I heard that, so winners make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Losers make decisions slowly and change them quickly. When I heard that, I knew that I had no option to go back, because I so wanted to be a winner. I so wanted to win. And I knew if I went back to work, that was a loser making one decision and then making another. So the reason why I wanted to say that to you today is make a decision to do the work. Okay? Those that make a decision to really become a success with money, with their dream, and stick with that decision are the ones that make it happen. So, how much is enough? How do we decide how much is enough money? You see, I did this exercise whilst I was at work. Okay, and that's how I came to the conclusion that I wanted to make $150,000 a month. Okay. So I encourage you to take a photo of this screen. Before I go into what I'm going to ask you to do, I just want you to write a rough figure of how much you think is enough. Just write it down. It might be $150,000 a year. It might be $10 million. Just write down what instinctively the figure of how much money is enough for you. And I want you to go back to this figure once you've done this exercise. So when we finish the workshop today, I want you to please write a list of all of your wants. So your want might be the dream home. Allow yourself to dream. Your want might be freedom. So what does freedom mean to you? And it's never about the money. It's never about the money. When it becomes about the money, remember what I said earlier, money controls you. You are not in control of money. Money is your vehicle. If it is that you want freedom, what does freedom mean to you? How much money will give you the freedom? If it means that you want to go on a $200,000 shopping spree at Chanel, I'm going to do that with my clients soon. Anyone that wants to join, let me know. Or Christian Louboutin, which we have a partnership here with in Melbourne. Okay, write it down. So what is it that you really, really, really want? Write it on your list. Allow yourself to dream. When you understand your mind will start taking you there. Okay, and then include your needs. So your needs are your electricity bill, your mortgage payment, your petrol bill, whatever it is, groceries. And go back and on the list of each of these items next to it, write the figure. Okay, write the figure. And then when you've written down the figure in the right-hand column, add all of those figures up, and that will give you your goal. That will give you your 12-month money goal. Okay. And I would suggest focusing on the 12 months. You might or you might not achieve it in 12 months. It took me a little bit longer than 12 months, I think 18 months. Some of my clients, it takes them 12 months. I had a client back in 2020, she finished up with me. And I think there are a few clients here that were on that call. And on her last session in our group coaching program, she said, when I started with you, I had a goal to achieve $20,000 a month. And then she heard me on a Facebook Live talk about money. And she said, I trust Suzana. She has the experience, so I'm going to up that to $1 million by the time I finish her coaching program. And on the last day of her coaching program, she said, can I please say something? It's my last day. I want to say bye to everybody. And I said, sure. And this lady is in Melbourne. And she said, so when I started with you, I heard you say those two things. She said, I was actually in debt. She said, I could not, for the first time ever, when I signed up to work with you, I could not pay my mortgage for that month. And she said, now I'm leaving the program with $1 million in the bank. Okay. Now she had a vehicle, she had a business to help her take her there. Okay. So I would put down a 12-month goal, even if it might take you longer. So my $150,000 goal, I had done this exercise, and that's how much I needed to have the lifestyle that I wanted back then. It took me a little longer. It doesn't matter. Okay, remember, winners make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Okay, losers make decisions slowly and change them quickly. Decide in this moment that you will do whatever it takes to change yourself, to change your mindset so that you can open up to the abundance, so that you can unlock the floodgate that Bob Proctor would tell us about, and so that you can wonder where it was all of this time. This exercise is very, very powerful. So decide that you're going to do whatever it takes. Okay, Chris, over to you, my friend.
Thank you, Suzana. All right. So just talking about, when she was talking about it's not just about the money. And that's so true. It's not the money, it's the growth. It's part of the process, and it's really more so about the person you become along that journey. See, because I think it's so easy to get caught up in the things, right? The external things. But, look, I've worked with thousands of clients over these years. And, a couple of questions I always get, what's the most valuable lesson you ever learned from Bob? And I'll tell you my most valuable lessons that I got from Bob were not in his teachings. It was really about how he operated. It was how he conducted himself, how he carried himself on a regular basis. But when it comes to money mindset and paradigms, the first thing you got to understand is you got to be able to break through the resistance that keeps most people stuck where they are financially. And, I'm sure you've all heard about the concept of a money mindset. And it's really the beliefs and the attitudes that you hold about money, but it's more than just beliefs. It's the paradigm that's deeply ingrained that governs really how you think, how you feel, how you act when it comes to your finances. And it's not just the finances. We're just focused on money for today. So what's a paradigm? And I like to think about it, it's your mental operating system. It's like a program running in the background that really it dictates your habits, your decisions, and ultimately your results. And a paradigm can be positive, or it can be the very thing that holds you back from creating anything that you really want out of life. And when it comes to money, most of us have been programmed with limiting beliefs that create invisible ceilings on our financial potential. And paradigms really control all areas of your life. But a couple of specific areas are things like your perception, your use of time, your creativity, your logic, your productivity, your effectiveness, and ultimately that leads to the amount of money that you're earning. So when you try to change paradigms, whenever you try to make any change in your life, the first thing that's always going to show up is resistance. And Bob used to always say, the moment that you go to change the paradigm or make a move, your paradigm is going to put up a royal battle. And it's absolutely true. There's an author, his name's Stephen Pressfield. He wrote a really good book. This is one I would actually encourage everyone to get. It's one of my favorite books. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's called The War of Art. And, it's an easy read. It'll probably take you a day or two to get through it. But what I love is really, he has a great quote in there. He says, resistance will tell you anything to keep you from doing the work. And it will perjure, it will fabricate, it will falsify, it will seduce, and it will bully. It will assume any form. If that's what it takes to deceive you, that's what it will do. And it will reason with you just like a lawyer, or will jam a 9mm in your face just like a stick-up man. So resistance has no conscience. It will pledge anything to get it done. And it will double cross you as soon as you turn your back. So if you take resistance at its word, you deserve everything that you get. Resistance is always lying, and it's always full of shit. I love that. It's crude, but I'll tell you right now, it's absolutely true. So going back to what I was saying about, what are the questions that I get? A lot of the times people ask me, well, what is it that makes the people, successful? The ones that really win and the ones that struggle. And I'm telling you, this is it. It's facing the resistance. If you listen to what Suzana was talking about in her story, when she all the mental thoughts, oh, who are you? You can't do this. You're in corporate. This is never going to work. That's the resistance. And anytime that you set a goal to break free from your current financial situation, So whether it's earning more money, whether it's creating a new business, even creating healthier habits, resistance is always going to step in and try and block you. And it can look like things like procrastination. It can be fear, self-doubt. It's sneaky. But just like I said earlier, resistance is actually a sign that you're on the verge of a breakthrough. And it reminds me, I had a really good client of mine, guy from Canada. His name was Eli. Great guy, hilarious guy. And he came to me about 5 years ago, and the goal was to earn more money. And at the time, he was working with a really good family friend that owned a window, and it was like windows and doors company. And he absolutely loved it. He was an extreme extrovert. He loved to go out there and meet with people. It was perfect. And when I first started working with him, he told me that he needed to find another job because he was capped on his income. He was earning $50,000 a year, and he said he can't earn anymore. And I said, well, hold up. I said, it's your perception that you need to find a new job to get to that goal. And his goal was basically to double his income. He wanted to go to 50 to 100 within 12 months. And I'll never forget this because I was actually in Vegas at the time with a bunch of my friends. We always went there to go watch football games. And I said, let's just sit down and mastermind and see what we can come up with. Let's see what we can work out. The thing for him is he loved what he did. See, if you love what you do, you should be doing it. A lot of times people, will think, well, I got to go find something else because I want to earn more money. I promise you, you can earn money in a lot of different ways. You can earn more money at whatever it is that you're doing right now. And because he loved what he was doing, I didn't want to have him go quit just to make more money to find out he wasn't happy doing the new job, because that happens a lot. I had that happen to myself many times. And I asked him to tell me a little bit more about what he does. So he started to explain the whole process about, he meets with the customers, he does the quotes for the doors and the windows, and he got a commission plus salary, but he was maxed out because he was already full-time. So he didn't have more time to put into this. And I just asked him a couple more questions about, how he works, who the clients were. And throughout the discussion, he told me about 30 to 40% of the people were doing full home remodels. And I asked him, well, what projects did they typically do? And he said, it could be roofing, it could be additions, it could be a lot of different things. So I suggested that he just changes his presentation up. Just ask a few more questions, right? What are the projects that you guys are working on? And, I had some experience in working with like JVs, affiliate partnerships, and joint ventures, that kind of stuff. So I just suggested, why don't you go find people that can service those jobs, reputable people. See, your character is everything. Like the moment that you do something to somebody else just to take, you've already lost, right? And it's going to be impossible to get that back. So that's exactly what he did. He went out, he found great people to service these jobs. The biggest one was a roofing company. And he went from 50,000 a year to 150,000 a year by just doing that. So if you think about that, that's no more time, just a few more questions, and he tripled his income. And his paradigm shifted because of that. So remember, like on this slide, we said the paradigm controls our perception. So he was looking at it from his paradigm. His perception was he needed to find a new job to earn more money. He didn't. The opportunity was already there. Use of time. He wasn't using any more time to triple his income. It was a couple more questions. He used creativity to find new ways in which he could do this. And his logic that he needed a new job shifted because that belief wasn't true. And I would have all of you guys think about what are some of the beliefs that you have that may not be true. The things that we think may be holding us back generally are not really the things that are holding us back. And once he did this, everything changed for him because he turned the goal into a pursuit and he raised his level of awareness throughout that process. The key to what I just said, I will tell you right now, it's pursuit. I had people that I worked with that had been studying this information for 30, 40 years, and they were stuck in the same place they were 30, 40 years ago. It's pursuit. It's not just coming up with the amount of money, the goal that you want to earn, it's pursuit. And I want you to think about your own financial goals, right? So we just went through this exercise to determine that specific amount that you want to earn. You know, maybe it's you want to hit a new income milestone, or maybe you do want to create a business, which I personally believe is hands down, that is the best way to change your paradigm and to change your programming. Because when you start something new, when you create a business, you are going to face so much resistance, so many insecurities, and you either rise to the goal or you shrink back to the old paradigm. But the moment that you make that decision, resistance is going to show up. And for most people, it's going to sound like things like, you know, what do I know about business? Or that's going to take too much effort. Maybe next year. And that's that internal voice that pulls you back into your comfort zone. The very comfort zone that's keeping 99% of us stuck. And let's get into understanding why this actually happens. See, your paradigm is really designed to keep you comfortable. It just wants you to stay safe. That this is how we function as humans. Our whole, like, your internal systems are all designed to just keep you feeling safe. But there's good in that, but there's a lot of bad in that, right? We're not getting chased around by lions anymore, so we don't need to really worry about that. So a lot of these things that are trying to keep us comfortable, it's your brain's way of protecting you from anything that feels risky. And changing your money mindset is risky because it's going to require you to challenge beliefs that you've probably held your entire life. But the good news is the very fact that you're feeling that resistance, you know, whenever you try and shift anything, is a sign that you're headed in the right direction. And, you know, resistance always shows up when you're about to push through your limits. So I guarantee, like, I haven't talked to Suzana about this, but when she was building her business, I guarantee before she broke through and got to that next level, I bet that was the peak of the resistance. And that's where most people quit. That's where most people give up. And when you're stretching into something bigger, you're going to have to face that. So how do we overcome resistance, and how do we change that money paradigm? And there's 3 steps. So number 1 is awareness of the paradigm. So the first step is understanding your paradigms. What are your beliefs around money? So start asking yourself, what do I believe about money? Do you believe that it's hard to earn? Do you believe it's scarce? You know, so what do you think, or what do you believe is holding you back when it comes to earning more of it? And I promise you, these beliefs aren't fact, but they're real to you. They're real because they're part of your programming. See, and the problem is, humans beings, we're always looking for proof. So if we believe that money is hard, or if you believe that the economy is difficult right now, I guarantee you that's exactly what you're going to see. Because yes, for right now, for some people it is. For other people, they're doing great. So becoming aware of these beliefs is the first step if you're going to change them. Number 2, take small daily actions. See, grow in the face of big, overwhelming tasks. So when you're getting overwhelmed, that's where the resistance is really going to show up. And that's why I'm a huge believer in breaking things down into small, manageable wins. And when it comes to shifting your financial paradigm, start with tiny steps. Create some momentum. So let's say you want to start a new business. Start with just getting a logo design, right? This logo can give you a physical representation of the goal itself. And, you know, we have over 11 million receptors. 10 million are related to sight. So getting something that you can see every day that's in alignment with where you want to be, it'll help turn that goal over to the subconscious mind and help turn it into a burning desire. See, Bob was big on the goal cards. Anyone that's watched Bob, you've always heard him talk about the goal cards. That's why. It's a trigger. It's a trigger to get you focused back onto what you really want. So when you're faced with a challenge, go back to what you want. So these small, consistent actions, they start to chip away at the resistance, and they start to build new beliefs. and start to create a new paradigm. You know, one of my favorite quotes, Bob used it all the time. He said, I think it was Buckminster Fuller, I might be wrong. And he said, to change things, you don't fight the existing reality. He said, you got to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. That's how you change a paradigm. You don't just study all this and have these aha moments and your paradigm changes. You change it by getting out there. You face the resistance. You put yourself on the hook. You put yourself on the line. And remember, small wins compound over time, just like money. The third thing is change your environment. Your environment is critical when it really comes to, for everything. If you want to make any change, not just money, if you want to make any change, changing your environment is absolutely critical. So think about the people that you're surrounded by, the conversations that you're having, you know, the information that you're consuming. Are they, you know, are they supporting your growth? Are they reinforcing old limiting beliefs? You know, to earn more money, you need to create an environment that supports abundance. One that reminds you and pushes you to financial goals every single day. So surround yourself with people that are thinking big. The ones that talk about opportunities rather than struggles and limitations. And most importantly, get around people that act, people that move into action. And I want to tie this back to the concept of resistance because it's going to show up in different ways for you when it comes to money. So for some of you, resistance is fear of failure. You know, it could be fear of technology. You take some sort of financial risk that you'll lose it all. And for others, it might be things like self-doubt. It could be, you know, you're not capable, you don't have the skill sets to create financial success. And for some people, it's just straight up procrastination. So telling yourself that you can start tomorrow. The truth is tomorrow never comes. I've tried it. Trust me, it doesn't work. And resistance lives in that space called tomorrow. And it loves to keep you there. So at the very beginning, Suzana was talking about when Bob would always say, you know, winners make decisions quickly, very slowly to change them if and all they ever do. I actually studied this quite a bit. So after Bob passed away, a lot of you guys that have seen me before know this, I became obsessed with studying human behavior and psychology. The reason why you want to make decisions quickly is because the moment that you don't, your brain is going to find excuses. And, you know, it's you, and you guys don't have to get this, but many of you have heard of Mel Robbins. It's that 5-second rule, right? It's where she had everyone count backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you move. You get into action. She did that because she knows within 7 seconds, your brain is going to start to talk you out of that, right? Like if you know, for me, for example, I get up at 5:30 every morning. I've been doing this for a couple of years. I hate it. I still have resistance. I do not enjoy it one bit. I don't enjoy working out, right? It's resistance to get there. It's resistance to get up. But see, if you set your alarm, you get up at 5:30 a.m. and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you get out of bed, then all the excuses that you're going to make, all hit snooze for 15 minutes, then I'll get to it, all that stuff will start to go away. So a lot of this is, again, understanding how this also relates to your identity. And we don't have time to get into that much of that today. But it's something that I find fascinating. It's something over the, you know, psychology over the past 20 years has really gotten into understanding successful people that create massive success. They use identity to work in their favor. So future self is a huge topic, something that's really been out over the last 20, 25 years. So these are people like Kobe Bryant use this, Matthew McConaughey, Oprah, and it's where, you know, it's really, again, it's almost like you create this alter identity to face these challenges. Like Beyonce, I forget what hers is. It's like Sasha Fierce or something. So, you know, before she goes on stage, she just adopts this identity of this other person so that she can do things at a different level rather than her old identity, right? I was reading something about Peter Fonda, I think it is. I think his name's Peter Fonda, actor. And he was talking about how even at age 75, he was still throws up before every scene, but he still faces the resistance and he does it anyway. And, you know, we did an entire program called the Success Code for 3 months. And I'm telling you, we barely even scratched the surface in 3 months. But it's something that everyone should be focused on and something that you should always be developing. You always got to be developing your self-image and your future self. And, you know, if we have a little bit of time at the end, maybe we can touch on it a little bit. But I'll turn it over to you, Suzana, for the next one.
Thank you so much. Love it. You know, we teach this material, you know, we've repeated it probably millions of times, and every time I hear it, just absolutely love it. I just want to thank you so much, Chris. Chris has just shared some really important points. Okay, so we have, first of all, you know, some of the things that we've learned from Bob: clarity in mind, of your mind, how much is enough. Okay, and then Chris went into a presentation about your perception, about changing your programming, about seeing, you know, the situation differently. And one of the things he said that really stood out for me, he was saying, you know, the figure, break it down, okay? That moment when my business skyrocketed, and I'm sure Chris would remember, because the year before that, I did 4 figures in my business. I had $4,000 profit, right? And then within a couple of months, it just skyrocketed. And 1 week, there was a week that there was over 175,000 that came in. So there were a few key things that happened to me during that time. The first thing that I shared with you was clarity. I did the exercise that I asked for you to do. And when I first did that exercise, $150,000 a month was huge. I knew deep down inside that I could do it. I knew deep down inside that it was mine to have. But the mind got in the way. What are you doing? You studied psychology, you're a senior manager. What would your European parents say that you've left 2 mortgages, $500,000 in debt to pursue your dream? You know, coming from a working class background, this is all you can have. Okay. So it seemed, in my mind, it seemed impossible. In my heart, in my soul, I absolutely knew it was mine. And the reason I share that with you is because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are many of you on this call, either watching us live or watching the recording, that feel the same. And if that is you, that's a great position to be in. It's a very scary position to be in. But you now have a choice which one you listen to. You now have a choice if you listen to the old programming and the chatter. What are you doing? You know nothing about business. You'll never have 150,000 a month. How can you do that? How can you leave your job and start a business when you've got $500,000 in debt? Whatever it is telling you, you are not good enough, you have failed, you don't have a job, whatever it is telling you, whatever your programming, money program is, you can listen to that, or you can make a decision to follow that knowing deep inside you. And when I made that decision, so it starts with the big D, decision. What that meant for me is it is done. It is done. And what happened was the higher faculty of intuition started to kick in. And I knew the next step and the next step and the next step. And it was uncomfortable all the way. It was actually uncomfortable for me to receive $170,000 in 7 days. I remember the email that, and I'll have to pull it up and share it with you, Chris. I remember the email that I sent to Bob when he, you know, I shared it with him and he congratulated me. And I'm like, but Bob, I'm so uncomfortable. Why am I so uncomfortable? And he said, well, Suzana, because you've never done it before. And your paradigms have not caught up to your achievement. So keep going. And the key things, there were three key things looking back that brought that quantum leap for me. And one of them, Chris said, and Bob would say this often, break it down to the ridiculous. Break it down to the ridiculous, okay? Now, $150,000 a month is absolutely nothing. It doesn't even scare me, one slightest bit, okay? So whatever figure you have in the first exercise, whether it's 1.5 million, whether it's 15 million, whether it's $1 billion, whether it's 100,000, whatever it is for you, there is no judgment. It is your personal goal, your personal wants and needs, okay? But make it a stretch, and then break it down to the ridiculous. One of the exercises that Bob shared with us was get the final figure and get a calculator and keep breaking it down. Okay, so if I want to make $150,000 a month, how much is that a week? How much is that a day? How much is that a year? Just keep playing with it. When you focus on an abundance mindset, when you focus on where you're going, and Chris mentioned the classic goal card, this is the reason why. Your mind being a goal-achieving mechanism will find the next step for you, and the next step, and the next step. Not that it won't be challenging. You will have challenges along the way. The other thing that I learnt was there is no big or small. There is no big or small. When you understand the power of cause, the law of cause and effect, and the law of circulation, which we go deeper into in our mastermind program, there's not enough time, and you need the steps, one step, to actually absorb it all and see the change in you. But when you understand the law of cause and effect, the law of vibration, the law of circulation, you understand that $1 billion and 100,000 are not big or small. It is what we make it. It is what we make them to be. So therefore, if your money paradigm, the thing that you wrote down at the start of this session, right? If that paradigm, if that thinking about money says to you that you can't have it or it's too big, well, guess what? Your mind is a self-fulfilling prophecy and it will be too big. But when you actually understand money, and we go through that in our money mastermind, we'll go through that with you, you start to realize that there is no big or small. And the third thing that I learned was spot on what Chris shared. Change your identity. Remember what I said back in February 2017? I was new in business. I was so scared. And every single second of the day, I wanted to go back to my security of the job. That point of resistance. That resistance actually was with me for a while. Until I changed my identity. Until I changed my identity of service, of being the best in the world at what I do. Not better than Chris, not better than the other coaches. I didn't even know what Chris or the other coaches around the world were doing. It was none of my business. I just focused on becoming the best version of myself and giving the best service. So, number one, What did I say? What was the number one thing? Can you put it in the chat box for me? What was the number one thing that I shared, that I learned? Anyone want to have a go? Nothing is big or small. Yep, nothing is big or small. Okay. It's what I made it to be in my mind. Break it down to the ridiculous. Okay, so have the figure. That's it. Thank you, Angie. Have the figure. Break it down to the ridiculous. Change the way you see money. Change the way you see what it is. Nothing is big or small. And then change your identity. We have 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. You all know this. This is not new information. Okay. Most of those thoughts have been repeated over and over and over again. And it's crazy how many stresses and paradigms we have around money. Remember, you're either allowing money to control you or you're in control of money. Okay, so let's go to the next lesson that we learnt from the incredible Bob Proctor. This was drummed in us so much. And if you do follow Bob, which I'm sure that many of you do, you would have heard this. He said that I think it was 99% of the population. Chris, you might remember the figures, but 99% of the population consists of people working for money. Okay. In one form or of another, whether it's working for someone else or working in their own business. But I know what's really stood out was only 1% of the population earned all of the riches. Sorry, 1% of the population earned 99% of the riches in the world. Forgive me, apologies. So 1% of all of the humans on this planet own 99% of the riches. How do they do that? There was one common factor, okay? Multiple sources of income. What are multiple sources of income? So basically, multiple sources of income mean that you are diversifying where your money is coming from. You have a portfolio of different avenues and streams of income. Okay. Now, when I started working closely with Bob Proctor, I had 3 streams of income. So my job, which was really not secure, even though I thought it was secure, I had investment properties, and I had my superannuation and some money in the bank, 4 streams of income. Okay. I heard this concept over and over and over again, but I did not know how to build my sources of income. So I'm going to give you a little formula that I used. And when I used this formula, my sources of income grew from 3 to 8 within 12 months. Okay. So the first and most important question is, what do you love? What do you love? How do you love to serve? How do you love to serve? What is the difference that you are making in the world? Excuse me, I'm just going to change this on my screen. So what is the difference? What is your primary source of service? I want you to think about that and make a decision. Okay. Number 2, again, comes back to the question, how much is enough? How much money do I want to make a year? And number 3 is, what types of income? What types of income? So do I want them to be passive income? Do I want it to be, a service that I'm out there? I would suggest, I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, I'm not advising. However, a diversity always helps. Okay. And the other question, what is my integrity? Where are my values? And finally, how many? So I started to build sources of income very, 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 very quickly. Okay. And again, it really worked for a while. And it still does. And then after about 24 months to 3 years, I started to cut back. And the reason was, although my sources of income were working for me, there were 2 or 3 that did not align with my values. Okay, they did not align with my integrity and my values. So this is a really important question. Okay, now what we invite you to do is to brainstorm and answer these questions yourself. Okay, take some time after this call to answer those questions. Okay, how many streams? How much? Are they passive? Or do I have to put energy into them? What are my values? What is my integrity? Okay, do I want to put time and effort into that? Or do I want it to be a cumulative growth? Because when you start to develop your mindset, you start to develop ideas and ways that you can get to those income streams. Okay, you start to, the mindset always comes first and then the action, and the action is absolutely required. You'll start to research various ways. Okay, you'll start to, talk to people about it. But the clarity and answering those questions first is absolutely fundamental. Okay. We have a source of income at Your2Minds. We have an affiliate program. Happy to chat with you about that if it resonates. But please do this piece of work and then come back to us if you need to. Okay, we go deeper into multiple sources of income with our mastermind. So mastermind, what is a mastermind? Andrew Carnegie said to Napoleon Hill in his interview that the number one thing, and I want you to write this down, the number one thing that helped him build his riches was a mastermind. So the question is, who are you masterminding with? Who are you hanging out with? And what are your conversations with these people? Are these people that will pull you up into greater success? Do they have the success already? Do they have multiple sources of income? What is their integrity? And what Andrew Carnegie said, that so the mastermind did a number of things for him and for his whole team and everybody in that mastermind. He said that it allowed him and everyone in the mastermind to share specialized knowledge. You are not going to know everything when it comes to building your wealth. And wealth is not just money. Wealth is your health. Wealth is your happiness. Wealth is the joy that you feel every day. Wealth is the time that you have with your beautiful family. Okay? You will not know everything when you're moving towards your goal. So what a mastermind does, you're pulling in knowledge from other people. Knowledge even of how to build multiple sources of income. And the other thing that Andrew Carnegie said was, by creating a mastermind, there is an additional mind. There's another mind that comes in. So it's the power of people working together that creates the quantum leap. Now, remember earlier I shared about a client back in 2020. She finished up 2020, her first program with me, and she left with $1 million. That was the power of a group of people, energy in the high vibration, successful people working together. That's what happens. It creates the energy and the flow. Okay, so Before I hand it over to Chris, I just want you to come up with a figure of how many sources of income would you love to have? What is the feeling? So this is where it comes to this is where your integrity and your values come in, okay? What is the feeling of having these 5, 10, 15, 20 sources of income? So the feeling, might be excitement, relief, a sense of freedom, security. Just come up with whatever it is. And are they a mixture of passive or, active incomes where you have to put your time into? And I just want to wrap this part up with, if we were to meet you in 12 months' time and anything was possible for you, how much money would you have in the bank? How much money would you have to enjoy? And whatever comes up for you, I tell you from personal experience, it can be yours. And I tell you from personal experience, by making decisions quickly and changing them slowly and taking the action steps required, it will eventually be yours. Chris, I'll hand it over to you now.
So, like when you were going through that, I was just thinking about, like, when you guys are looking at creating multiple streams of income, it doesn't have to be, a bunch of different businesses. Like that story I was talking about, Eli, he had these different places he was just referring people to. His income at the company he worked for didn't go up at all. He still earned $50,000 a year from that company. He ended up earning, I think it was $75,000 from a roofing company. So a company he wasn't even an actual employee for. So a lot of this is, again, just getting our minds to look for opportunities, because I promise they are here. Me too. I know there's a lot of opportunities that I'm not seeing. But I also know the only way I'm going to see those if I keep thinking, if I keep working on myself, keep developing myself. And, something that can accelerate the process is exactly what Suzana was just talking about, is masterminds. The reasons why, masterminds have always been one of the most effective tools, for success. It's just because, again, it brings power together. So we all specialized knowledge. And it's when you get in a group like that and you can share that specialized knowledge, it's not even what they share with you. It could just be an idea that gets sparked in your mind from what they shared. And masterminds, they bring together the best of mindset, strategy, and accountability. And I think accountability is just an absolute critical component to success. And I think by doing those kinds of things, you achieve things that you would never achieve on your own, not because you're not capable, but because you won't, right? We just won't see it. We won't do it. And, how many of you guys have read Think and Grow Rich? I'm assuming a lot, majority. Yeah. And, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, the mastermind is one of the success principles that he goes into great length on. And some of you guys might be familiar with the laws of success. I don't know if you guys can see it. I have the book on my counter back there. That's the laws of success. That was kind of the predecessor before Think and Grow Rich. The first book was on the mastermind. So that's the value, the importance that Napoleon Hill put on it after interviewing, some of the most successful people in history. And, Bob ran a mastermind called The Matrix. It was hands down my favorite thing that we did. And it's actually how I met Bob. So I was actually a client first. I went there when I was working in the tech industry. I wanted to get out of the tech industry. I had no idea what I was going to do. That's where I went. And, we would do this thing 4 times a year, and, people would pay, it was $15,000 to spend 5-6 days working with us. And it's really where people would come in with an idea, or, even if it wasn't clear, not fully developed, we would work with them to get clear. Leave there with clarity. We would leave there with plans. One of the things you hear a lot, and I kind of understand it and I kind of disagree with it. So there's some things that Bob taught that I really just don't agree with, right? But I believe that he believed it. And that's the beautiful thing. I don't think anyone should just accept ideas. You play with them. And, hear that when you know what you want and you know why you want it, the how will always show itself. And I believe that, but I also believe that you got to start to create action plans. So you got to start mapping things out. And we all think very differently. Like, I can tell you, for me personally, like, having the plan, having the logic behind me, that helps my mindset. That helps me start getting more excited about what I'm working towards. That helps me break through my resistance. And, the matrix is where I saw the most breakthroughs happen. A lot of businesses launched, a lot of partnerships formed, a lot of opportunities created. And, one of the big reasons why, I believe masterminds are so powerful is because what I just mentioned is the accountability. And, did you know that having accountability alone, just having accountability, improves the likelihood of you achieving your goal by over 95%? Just having accountability alone, nothing else, improves it by 95%. Well, why is that? Well, when you have accountability, they're not going to let you off the hook. So when I was talking about resistance earlier, most of us, our normal reaction, we hit resistance, we hit snooze, right? We go back to comfort, we go back to safety. But when you're in a mastermind, you're not just setting goals, hoping for the best. You're part of a group that really holds you to the highest standards. And there's no hiding. There's no avoiding. You can't hide from them, because everyone is moving forward and you're all being held accountable. And, let me tell you, that level of accountability is an absolute game changer when it's done properly. And I actually sat on a few of Suzana's Success Magnet on their group calls, and I was very impressed. The standard that everybody was holding people to. They all had committed to getting certain things done each week, and the group held them accountable to doing that. I've been part of other groups before where that was not the case, right? It was just everybody was talking. See, it's one thing to set a goal on your own, but when you share that goal with others, they're rooting for you. They're expecting you to follow through. And, when you do that, something shifts. It forces you to raise your game. So you start showing up differently because you don't want to let them down. And eventually you get to a point where you don't want to let yourself down. Because I will tell you, there is one thing that I think all of us are good at, and it's letting ourselves down. And it's because, again, we let the resistance take over. We look for excuses and we bring ourselves back to comfort and safety. Mm-hmm. And another massive, benefit of masterminds is the connections. It's not just about being around like-minded people. That's a great part too. It's very powerful. But it's about the opportunities that come from the connections that they might have. And I had a client of mine, Fatima from Dubai. I actually invited her to this. I don't know if she's here, but she attended the Matrix, and it was really at a time when she was at a crossroads. So she had recently gone through a divorce. She knows she had to start creating her own income. And when she first arrived, she had no idea what she was going to do. She hadn't worked in over 25 years, nor did she want a job, right? She didn't want to do that. And she knew she wanted an opportunity of her own, but she had no idea what she was going to do. She just knew that she had to get something figured out. And while she was there, she was connected with another client who was, she owned it, was like an organic skincare line in the US. And while Fatima didn't have a clear business idea, she did have connections. And one of those connections happened to be a really good connection. She was connected to the royal family. And, long story short, she made a couple of phone calls. She helped get this lady skincare products in the Middle East. She earns 15% of all sales into that region. So that connection became the other woman's, the one that owns the skincare line. That's her largest market. And Fatima earned 7 figures just by making an introduction. And it took a couple of months. It wasn't like she made a phone call and it happened. But it took a couple of months. They got the deal signed. And that's the kind of opportunity that is all around us. But we can't see it until we're in the right environment, surrounded by the right people. And I will tell you, your friends and family sometimes are the worst environment. And it's not, they want the best for all of us. But like I said, we all see things the way that we see them. They see you for how they've always seen you. They're not seeing you for the person that you're becoming. And when you're making a change, that's exactly what you have to do. You got to see yourself as that new future self, that new identity, that person that you're becoming, and not just write it out, get what that looks like. You got to literally become that person. You got to act as if you are that person. The truth is, you already are that person, but you're just operating off of old paradigms, old conditioning. And while we can't change the way we were raised and who we were surrounded by, we do have an opportunity every day to change who we want to be and live into that. And when you're in a mastermind, it's not about what you can get from the other people. It's more about, again, how can I serve these others? And I've seen this time and time again. The value always comes back tenfold. Every single person brings something to the table. And when you focus on giving, to those connections, those opportunities, I'm telling you, things will naturally come back your way. May not come from the same person. A lot of times it doesn't. And, let's talk about awareness. Opportunity, like I said, is all around us. But the truth is, most people don't see it because their current awareness doesn't allow them to see it. So just like what I was sharing about Eli earlier, that opportunity had always been there. He'd been working at that company for years. So that opportunity had always been there. What was missing was the awareness. He just didn't see it. And when your awareness starts to expand, you start to see opportunities that you didn't even know existed. Because you're surrounded by people that are thinking bigger, they're acting bolder, and they see things very differently. And that's why masterminds are so powerful, because they help you raise that level of awareness. They push you out of your comfort zone, and they connect you with people that can open doors. A lot of times you never even thought were possible. I went to an elite mastermind last year. And it was down in Cancun, down in Mexico. And it was with Russell Brunson. He runs a company called ClickFunnels. And it was, these were elite people. The minimum buy-in for this was 25 grand up to 250 grand. So a big part, it's just proximity, right? So I'm getting around these people that are, earning millions of dollars a day. And you just watch how they think and how they operate, how they're making deals, how they're connecting with other people. Their businesses had nothing to do with what my business was. But again, they're not successful because of the business they chose. They're successful because of the way they think and the way that they operate. They're successful because of the paradigms. And I'm telling you, it can be one idea that changes everything for you. But here's the thing. If you let resistance lead you, you'll never step into those opportunities. And Bob did a great lesson on this stuff. He talked about faith and fear. And he used to say, faith and fear both demand that you believe in things that you can't see. And he said, if you have to choose one, what do you choose? Do you choose to live in fear and you settle for a fraction of what life really has to offer? Or do you choose faith? And that faith is faith in yourself. It's faith in what's possible. And, in that book I was talking about, the world that you're living now, and it's the unlived life. And I'll tell you, that's the majority. That's the masses. Most people are settling for a fraction of what life really has to offer them. It's not that they don't have desire. It's not that they don't have wants. It's that, again, they're letting that friction keep them stuck. And most people never pursue that unlived life because they always let that fear win. They choose the resistance. But what if you choose faith instead? So what if you believed in, what's possible and you learn to live that unlived life? It's not hard. It's really not. Like, I guarantee, Suzana, with what you've done with your business, I guarantee when you started and you built it, it was hard. Probably didn't think it was going to happen. No idea, hard. But now you look back and it's like, well, I could do it all over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's because awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was so hard, but the hardest thing was that I was making it hard.
That's right.
Once you get past this, it is easy. You get into flow. You get into flow. Absolutely. Can I just add something to what you said?
That's the hardest part.
That's the hardest part. Just before we wrap up. So the mastermind that Chris mentioned, that worked because I have a formula that works. I've been in so many masterminds that some were crap, were shit, right? Those that work, if the people work them, skyrocket. We had an artist, Anita Never, who actually achieved her dream to get to Hollywood for an art exhibition. That happened last month as a result of the work we did. And also we have networks that we give to the mastermind. So yeah, over to you, Chris. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, and that's what growth is really all about. Right? It's about stepping into that unlived life, and it's about choosing that faith over fear. And, surrounding yourself with people that are also doing the same thing. Because, for me, like when I did that mastermind last year, that's what it was, man. Like I felt like these are my people, right? I found my tribe. And it's so important for everyone to have that. Because when you do, incredible things start to happen. And I know there's a couple of people on this call that are already part of the mastermind that we're going to be doing. Allison, I'm actually really excited to be working with you. When I first spoke to Allison, do you mind if I kind of share? No? Cool. So when I first spoke with Allison, I really like Allison because, Allison lives in is a retirement village. Is that what you guys call it? Yeah. And I love what she said. She said, I think you said, I don't want to be around all these old people. I don't want to see people shuffling along. She said, that's not who I want to be around. And, so for her, she has found, she's found something to get emotionally involved in. See, and that's what all of you have to find. You got to find something. See, this is another area that I actually disagreed with Bob on. So Bob believed that we are all hardwired for one thing. Right? We're all hardwired and meant for one thing. I don't believe that. I really don't. I think, we're all creative beings, all of us. I think you're meant to do many things. I think you're meant to do whatever you choose to do. I know you can do whatever you choose to do. And when you get to that point where you believe that, like I said, that's when opportunities are going to be all around you. A lot of the most successful people that I've worked with and that I've coached, they aren't looking for more opportunities. They're actually rejecting a lot of opportunities because they have too many opportunities. And, that's a good place to be. But you see, it's all a different level of awareness. And if you're blinded by fear and doubt, you're never going to notice. So the question is, will you choose the fear and you stay in that resistance? Or will you choose the faith and you step into what's possible for you? And like I said, the opportunities all around you. The people that can help you get there are all around you. But it's always up to you to decide. You are always the one that has to make that choice. No one can do it for you. People all the time thought, well, if I come and do this program with Bob, my life's going to change. No, it won't. Unless you decide to change it. You have to do the work. It's not who knows this material the most, who can repeat it. The most successful coaches out there, they're not necessarily the ones that know the material the best. They're the ones that are the most effective. And that's truly what we have to learn to become. You know, and that's what we're here today to not just teach you, to invite you. You know, and we've mentioned it a few times, we're going to be running our own mastermind. And it's where we're going to be working with you guys directly. It's a small group. We're doing small group. Okay, this isn't going to be a large group. And this is where we're going to be working with you guys in a group setting, but also one-to-one. And when we do this, see, a lot of my background is more on the back end side of things. Like there's a couple things that I'm passionate about, right? I love personal development. I love psychology, and I love marketing. Like I love the back end stuff. Like you get me on a computer programming stuff on the back end, programming bots. I love it. I enjoy it. I don't know why. It's what I love. And, you know, one of the biggest things that I see a lot of people struggle with is that side of things, right? They want to go out there and do the things that they want to do, but they don't understand the back end side of it. So with what we're doing in this mastermind, it's not just going to be, you know, teaching. It's not going to be just coaching. It's not just going to be, you know, personal development material. This is where we're going to get into mindset. We're going to get into strategies, and we're going to get into effective action. Because I don't care what the business is. I don't care what it is that you're looking to achieve. Success is not a secret. It's an absolute system. But you can't just study and hope for things to change. We have to get into effective action. And, you know, like I said, while this is going to be for a very small group of people in the very beginning, we're also not charging for us. It's all relative. Like realistically, for something like this, you know, even for the Matrix, that was 15 grand for 5 days. So right now we're doing it kind of at a discounted rate for the first group of people to go through this. This isn't a sales tactic or a marketing tactic. This is truly, we are doing this for this first group and this first group only, because we want to show you guys what's possible. But I ask that if you choose in, you choose in. You don't just show up for the calls. You got to take action on exactly what you're saying you're going to do, because we're going to give you specific things to do every single week, and you have to implement those things. So I hope you join us. I think it's an incredible opportunity to join us. And I'm not saying that because it's us. I'm saying that because of our experience and what we know as far as helping people get from where they are to where they really want to be. And, you know, like I said earlier, it's not just focusing on studying the information and the material. It's all about creating that new identity and living into that. You know, when the resistance shows up, you don't run from it, you face it. No excuses. Because I promise, if you do that, it's not just the results that you create in that short amount of time. It's like you're going to have a whole newfound respect for yourself. And at the end of the day, I think that's what personal development is. It's about finding self-respect. And the only way you do that is by creating proof of that. The way you create proof is through effective action. So, Suzana, anything you want to add to that? I know we've gone over. I apologize.
I just want to thank everyone for being here. Please reach out. Please take advantage of the session if you've not had one with us before, and jump on board. It is $4,997 USD. So jump on board. The price goes up next week. And we want to see you become a master of your mind. We want to see you become a master of your wealth. We want to see you become a master of your life. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I look forward, Chris and I look forward working with you all in the mastermind, and make today count. Thank you so much. Remember, winners make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Losers make decisions slowly and change them quickly. And I know that you've showed up because you are a winner. We look forward to being with you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thanks, Chris. Great job.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.